The next speaker is Beate McKenzie from United Kingdom. Please, Beate. The topic will be the use of Bee Hive Air against long COVID syndrome,
Yes.
a very, very complex and very important team.
The subject of long COVID with Bee Hive Air is fairly new, and there's not much information out there, to be really honest. I mean, we all have gone through 2 years or 2 years and a bit of COVID. Some of us had it, some of us been vaccinated, others haven't. There are so many views for and against it. This presentation is just to show that what our experience from Bee Hive Air has been over the last bee season. Okay, so let's just see that cursor is working. So within the last bee season in 2021, we've had several patients attending our Bee Hive Air therapy centers, and they would come for their primary condition like hay fever, asthma, COPD, any other allergic reactions that they would normally come to the center for. And they then through conversations said, oh, I've also had COVID, and really I smell only disgusting stuff at the moment. It's really awful. I don't know if that will make any difference to my treatment here, or I literally cannot smell anything, or my taste is really different now. So we started to test, first of all, if there was any indication of change. Some of the patients we just treated for their primary condition, not even knowing that they had long COVID. So they didn't afterwards say, oh, I can smell again. Oh, this is fantastic. So that's really when we started to record. We shared the information with the medical doctors we work with in the center, and looked at, okay, we need to change and record this kind of information. So when you do medical treatment with patients, it's very important that you record the information and not just go, oh, this person had this situation, so I will just try in the center to administer the same procedure. So when you work in a medical term, then it is really important that you get supported by the medical team, and they are actively involved in the whole treatment cycle. Okay, so we then, once we started monitoring it, we found that their normal sense and taste, those were the primary conditions that were told, started to improve, and in less than 10 sessions, they found a significant improvement, and that was fantastic, to a point where we then had to look at how we do our pre-assessment with the patients and include a completely new section on COVID, and that whole anamnesis questionnaire was then reworked with the medical team. So they had their primary impact in what information we were gathering. And just to give you a view of the kind of questionnaire we have, so we get some general information of their health background. Oh, that was a bit too much. Their health background.
Cannot hear.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, one idea is better to put the microphone a bit farther away from your mouth, a bit farther, and then better? Yes, and then speak louder.
Okay, is that better?
Yes, it's better.
Excellent. Sorry about that. Please do tell me straight away, so you don't have to sit there thinking, what is she talking about? So I will talk a bit louder now. So this is the anamnesis questionnaire that's been developed by our medical team with us, where we ask the patients before they start any sessions, their first sessions, just some general information about their health and well-being, their health history, and now it includes a completely new section on COVID, whether they had COVID, whether they had been vaccinated, how many times they've been vaccinated, with what they've been vaccinated, what kind of symptoms they're feeling, whether it's they can't breathe, they can't smell very well, they can't taste very well, or they're very tired. So we just to try and incorporate all this information to gather data. Then all this is very important to have a medical view of patient statistics. So, you know, doctors then would normally work out, so if a patient has this condition, this kind of stuff works, or if they have asthma, then I would prescribe them with this kind of medication. So we also needed to know and record the before and after effects. So what we also do is we do a questionnaire after the treatment with each individual patient, where they would tell us how they found their treatment. So they would say, before I had the therapy sessions, I was feeling rather not so good. So they would class it, for example, as a 2 or 3. And then after they had their treatment sessions, they found that their health has improved and they rated themselves as a 6 or 7. And now this is a great improvement. Now they might not say I'm a 10, but what we are looking at is that improvement ratio between the 2 and let's say the 7. And then you can measure out of the patients that you're checking, is that improvement ratio quite balanced, or is it, you know, very going up and down? And you see that depending on the condition of the person, the questions we ask are more or less. So, for example, if you have a general health condition, for example, hay fever and bee pollen allergy or general pollen allergy, then we just ask them 1 or 2 questions. If you have like asthma, COPD, there will be more questions asked. And for COVID, that questionnaire has been even further increased for that patient data. And then you can start doing some analysis. You can then look at, okay, what is the comparison? So this, as I say, this is just the beginning, and we obviously need more data from it. This is from 1 bee season. We only started towards the end of the bee season to record the information. Here you see the general consent was that, for example, the first 2 patients, they had a corona condition before. They rated themselves as a 3. I really don't feel very well. And after they had the treatment sessions, in this case, one had 8 sessions, the other one had 9 sessions. They felt they had an increased well-being. So the rate of their well-being was relatively even. Now you get your person that doesn't understand the questionnaire, so they said, I felt the same before and after, and I had no conditions. That happens. You will have patients that will say, I have no improvement. Most importantly, we have not had anyone that had worse situations. So once they had treatment sessions of however they needed, they would not feel worse after these sessions. And that data is really important. Now, what we then want to look at to make this really a therapy, a medical side of things, you don't want to work with, you know, paperwork, because, you know, how are you going to analyze the information about the patients from one center to another if you can't communicate with each other? So we now have launched an online tool for patient data management and appointment settings. It's currently only in German for German-speaking regions available, as it's literally just launched, and we're in the process of getting this set up for English-speaking as well, which I hope we will have ready at some point this year. And in here, you can then set the appointment with your individual patient, at what time of the day they're coming for their session, and at what beehive they're going to be sitting. And this is really important. Imagine your hive starts to have some contamination in there, which you then need to work out and replace and do all those things. But you need to know who was sitting on that hive before you realized this was going to happen, because you need to check that that person is okay. So if you don't monitor and if you don't write or have that data information, it's very difficult. And in the medical device regulation, in the EU law, you have to have everything documented, and that's what quality management is all about, and risk management. So you have everything documented from every single hive, the person that is attending the hive. You have to have all that information available. Now, yes, we launched that online, and you may think, oh, what about data protection and personal data? You probably know that in Germany, we have one of the most complicated laws about data protection, and we are very strict with how we use and share data. So the data that we collect is stored in a data warehouse in Germany on a server that is double checked for medical data storage. So it's the highest level of security that can be used, because we are talking about patient data and because we're talking about personal data. But what that allows us to do is we now have the possibility for the centers that use this tool, that they have the possibility to use information online. They can register patients online using a tablet, for example, and they know exactly when the patient has their sessions and when they want to close the center because they want to do some work on the hives or they go on holiday. So all of this is really recorded, and if anyone ever wanted to come and check, you would be able to clearly showcase this is the situation. So this really was an indication from when we realized, COVID is having such an impact on how new data is being created, that we also had to think of, okay, we have a medical device, great, but in order to be more accepted by the medical industry, we really need to adapt and change, try new things, and making sure that the whole process, the system and everything that goes around with it has the highest standard, the highest quality, and is managed in a way that anyone who is running the center can actually run it sufficiently and doesn't have to have huge, difficult training. This is then a view of where you can see, okay, how does my center do? This is just some proxy information in June we had a few users in the center. Then there is more in July and August. So this is not real-time data. This particular is just to showcase where you can analyze then how well is your center doing, which months are better than others, and you can analyze some of this information. This is a very brief, very short presentation, particularly about COVID and the new area of our business, of where we're going next with it. There is another presentation coming where we talk a bit more about how to do Bee Hive Air and when and was and everything. But there will be much more information coming with regards to COVID, because everyone who provides Bee Hive Air, you want to make sure that you record that information. And if we can then share that amongst each other, we will find that some of the information will be similar and some of the information will be new to one of us, to us each. And then is how can we then use that to really help people that are suffering with this type of lung condition, in addition to all the other lung conditions that we're trying to support them with.